joint disease, which is DJD, is arthritis. I mean, what happens is you have two joints, two bones, and their junction is what forms a joint. Every joint in the body has cartilage on each end of it, and the cartilage is very resilient. It's kind of like neat memory rubber. You press it down, it bounces back up to 100% of normal space. So that's what the cartilage does. There is fluid in there, like lubricants, to cut down on friction. And also it has some healing elements. The fluid is made, rather than floating away into the rest of the body, it's contained in a little envelope called a joint capsule. So every joint you have has a joint capsule around it, fluid that's made by the inside lining of the joint capsule. That joint capsule makes its own fluid, which should be highly viscous, like STP, oil treatment, and have some healing nutrients. And the cartilage should be resilient. When you have an injury to a joint, whether it gets stretched out of place, or it gets jammed and bleeds real hard, or it even gets a flake of cartilage off, a chip, a bone, goes down through the cartilage into the bone. Several things happen. You get a lot of enzyme. The body sends its army there, which are white blood cells. In case there's an infection or anything, they're going to send the police down there. And horses are great at responding to inflammation. They'll send tons of stuff. But they're like a Mardi Gras party. They're the worst on cleaning up after the accident. They don't get the cells out of there that do damage, because these white blood cells, they carry some toxins themselves, some enzymes that are detrimental to the joint. When you get a joint infection, bacteria in there, the white blood cells go in there and engulf it, but they also produce an enzyme that degrades or causes the cartilage, instead of being smooth and glistening, to turn into look like a roof on a vinyl top of a car. I mean, it's all crinkled and dry, and the cartilage loses elasticity, and then you end up, so if some of the ligaments that hold the joint in place get torn and the joint moves around a little bit and scores itself, what the body does is says, oh, this is injured joint. First thing it does is flood the joint capsule with a lot of fluid to protect it and white cells. That fluid that the joint capsule makes should be high quality and lubricating, but it sends a lot of water there. It doesn't let it mature. So the joint fills up and swells with the wrong type of stuff. Not only the wrong lubricating kind of stuff, but also some detrimental enzymes. That's why we want to give some non-steroidals like bute or banamine or everything, ice, support bandages, to try to minimize those enzymes, and to try to, and we have products now that will increase the health of the cartilage. Things like Equine, which is good for cartilage, or hyaluronic acid like Legend or polyglycan, that are what makes the joint fluid oily. When you give that joint that acid, and it's called the acid not because it dissolves anything, it's just the pH is that, it's hyaluronic. When you put that lubricant in the joint, what happens is it's gone in about anywhere from a day to 2 days. It's gone. It leaves the joint. The joint's constantly making fluid, draining off, making new fluid. But it tricks the membrane that makes the acid into saying, oh, you want high quality stuff. I thought you just wanted a lot of water. So it starts making the right quality. The Equine does the same thing. It makes resilient cartilage. In 3 days, 4 days, it's gone. That's why they come out with a pack of 7 and say give 1 every 4 days for 7 doses or a month's worth. Because they know, and that stops the degrading enzymes that damage the cartilage too. So the 3 things you can do to a joint. You can, number 1, make it oilier and high quality lubricants, which is hyaluronic acid, Legend, Equine, which restores the health of the cartilage and sponginess, and cortisone, which turns off all the inflammatory cells, which are damaging. People say, oh, I don't want to get cortisone, it's bad. Cortisone's a great drug. Where it gets bad is it takes the inflammation out of the joint. Now the joint feels good. If you play right away on it, you do damage. Because the horse doesn't, his pain receptors, it doesn't deaden it. It just takes a lot of, it's good, it takes the inflammation, it does a great deal. And a lot of these old rotten joints, that's about the only thing you can do. You can't take an old sow's ear and make a silk purse out of it by just, this is virginal. This is horrendous over here. Once a horse gets past so far in a joint, cortisone is about the only thing that's really going to help that joint make it come. And if you can stop that inflammatory process, a lot of times the joint capsule will say, okay, we'll just make high quality lubricants. We don't need, there's not that much inflammation demand, so we don't have to throw a lot of lubricants. So on old hocks that are almost partially fused, we put cortisone in them because it goes so good. High range motion joints like ankles and knees, they respond very well to acids. So we have, and the adequins. I personally like a product, polyglycan, which is a combination of adequin and legend mixed together in the same bottle for half the price. It's a very good product. So that's what you do. You're trying to stop the body on an early joint from doing damage and building a lot of arthritis by turning off the inflammatory process and resting the horse. Once it's happened and you're already dealt a bad hand, then it's making the horse comfortable. And they can function. You can't look at x-ray and say, oh, this horse has terrible arthritis, he'll never play polo again. And oh, this one's perfect and he'll play polo. Because pain is all different. I mean, you just can't look and say, you can say, ooh, this is going to have problems probably, and we probably ought to do something about it. But I've had some horrendous looking x-rays that played polo great. I've had other ones that just didn't look bad at all, and I couldn't keep them comfortable. Now we have this PRP and other products, stem cells that we can put in those joints and help revitalize that cartilage. So that's what I was going to tell you on arthritis. Things that you need, when you buy horses, there's two things. I said ankles are the #1 deal. This is a little good test to do. When you buy your horse, pick up his leg, press down with one hand here, and pull back with one hand here, and see where his toe comes to his elbow. Some horse, if this is the junction right here, this is the elbow, and the foot comes this far past the point of the toe comes this far, an inch. I call that a +1. That's good flexibility. Most horses go right to the end. And there's some exceptions. Some horses have, really long cannon bones, and some have really long pasterns, but you get these really flexible horses, and they'll come back to past the elbow by 2 inches. I call a finger an inch roughly. So, and I know those horses will be fantastic laterally. They're generally young horses. You see that in a veteran horse, man, he's great. Because generally when you're so limber, the guy on your back, if he's a good player, he's going to use you up. You're going to pay for it. If you're real flexible as a gymnast at a young age, when you get up to go to the bathroom at 42, you're going to get up and go, oh God, why did I do all that stuff? The same thing on horses, but lateral movements where they can pivot real quick. So when you buy horses from the racetrack, flex this ankle, really bend it back. #1, does it hurt the horse? And you can put your hand right here on this tendon and bend his toe back. I promise you, people say, oh, you can make every horse flinch because you're pushing them so hard. No, you can't. You can't press as hard as they can run. They're 1,000 pounds, But bend his ankle, see, check his range of motion, how far he comes past this. And when you flex it, does he resent it? You got 6 horses in your barn, do all your horses. They'll give you a good idea. Pick that up. When your horse starts going sore, a little sore, first thing you do, pick that ankle up, flex it, see how much he wants to get away from you. Bingo, there's your problem. Also, on horses that have tattoos in their mouths, flex their knees. That tendon should run up right against the back of the forearm. You should be able to bend that knee 100%. If it only drops, if you bend it, this is how it turns out, where there's a pretty good gap, he's got some old changes. Then start looking at the front of his knee. Those dimples probably have some little lumps in them from the previous chips.